Welcome back to the LTA. Finals weekend is finally here. Today, we have a Cloud9 who narrowly lost to FlyQuest in a 5-game banger, taking on a Shopify Rebellion who's won 6 of their last 7 games. Please welcome to the stage the underdogs rampaging through the lower bracket. They've already taken down 100 Thieves and Team Liquid and now set their sights on Cloud9. It's Shopify Rebellion. In the top lane, Fudge. In the jungle, Contractz. Mid laner, Palafox. Bot lane is Bvoy and Seoul. And their opponents. This perennial powerhouse is hungry for a title shot after topping the positioning phase and winning their group. Led by young solo laners and some of the most dominant veterans to ever grace this stage, Cloud9! In the top lane, Thanatos. At jungle, Blaber. Mid laner, Loki. Bot, Zven, and support, Vulcan. There is only one spot left in the finals. It's time to find out who will rise to the challenge and grab it. The LTA starts right now. I'm Azael, joined by Jatt and Emily today for this lower bracket finals matchup. Only one ticket to face FlyQuest tomorrow for the LTA North title.
Man, great intro. I also loved having Sniper on the lounge. He's going to be here all day. We had an unhinged waiting room. I'm hoping for some unhinged gameplay here because we know that Shopify has come from a lower point than almost anyone else ever to be top 3. 6-12 game score in the regular season into being 6-1 in this lower bracket and now having a lot of momentum going up against Cloud9, who haven't been to a final in quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, and the last time the three of us were on the cast, it was to watch Shopify upset TL, right? In order to get here. I think the big thing for me is that C9 have been so dominant. Like, outside of their series with FlyQuest, I do think they are a higher caliber of opponent than Shopify has faced thus far in this potential lower bracket run. So I think it's going to be up on them to find that next level.
And we'll see how much C9 really took away from that FlyQuest series they had, where they were down 2-0, but then nearly pulled off the reverse sweep, winning the next 2 games before falling in Game 5. It's not like they walked into FlyQuest and just got blown down to the lower bracket. They put up a hell of a fight.
The Wens TL.
Yeah.
Fine. Next split, they'll be back.
Split 3.
Yep. But Shopify, I agree. You know, they are the underdogs here, but never forget Energy beating G2.
Yeah.
You know, that was Contractz and Palafox. We've seen these guys pull off some colossal upsets, and we've also seen some pretty incredible performances out of Palafox here. I do think he's really stepped it up, and he's shown, you know, the heights at which he can play. His LeBlanc game was fantastic. You look back to the 100 Thieves series, Victor Pentakill to close that series out. He definitely has been stepping up.
Interesting you say that because they did take out immediately on C9 side Ahri and the Annie, followed by the Varus, and then Shopify kind of sticking with some of their more standard bans in the Vi and the Gwen.
Yeah, the Gwen is definitely targeted strongly at Thanatos. I'd say the Sejuani ban is fairly targeted, might set up what they're going for here. Interestingly enough, Yone is up. That's something that's been very heavily banned against Palafox. Was banned by Team Liquid in the entirety of their series. Not a surprising first pick, though, with Taliyah often going away in Game 1.
Yeah, and Taliyah is just so flexible. She fits in so many different compositions. She's able to push out and get to side lane so quickly, so excellent map pressure. But Yone has also been banned against C9 and Shopify both. So I am curious to see if Shopify will pick it up on their end.
It's actually the most banned champion against both of these teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see it up, and you know, you would expect that potential for it to be grabbed here by Palafox, but of course, you know, Taliyah on the other side can make things difficult. This champion has been so high prio. And when you think about the way that Cloud9 likes to play, you know, especially when they are focusing on Thanatos, this is going to enable him even more. You know, we saw how FlyQuest wanted to try to deal with him, which was really allowing Thanatos to just blind pick all of the meta champs and allowing Bvoy to have some sort of a more niche counter pick. So I'm going to be interested to see how Fudge and how Shopify want to try to tackle Thanatos.
Yeah, that will be super interesting as we see the Pantheon taken away pairs insanely well with that Taliyah. So not only is that a potentially good jungler for Contractz, but additionally kind of splits up that pairing since they do work so well together. And then the Senna locked in pretty early on.
Yeah, the Senna is something that Bvoy had a spectacular late game on. I feel like the priority of this pick has raised throughout the weeks. I will say the pick does struggle if it doesn't win laning phase, so it's a little risky to pick it this early because it'll allow Zven and Vulcan to try and pick a dominant lane against it. I'd say with Varus banned, it's less risky, and it more sets up Shopify to pair with dive champions, as they already have the Pantheon and the Senna who can support from any range.
Yep, and we see the Poppy coming in as well. I kind of expect that to be going jungle, but it could be flexed down into the bot lane for Vulcan, so that is a potential possibility. Nope, not anymore. We got Rell locked in for Vulcan on the bot side.
Taliyah Poppy combo is super important because you can just wall the mid lane to get a stun, and it's a great gank combo.
And you can honestly just push them into the Unraveled Earth, right? And that stuns them as well. So that is really strong as a duo. Nautilus is always the expected pairing here with Senna. It is by far the most popular one in pro play. So even though you are technically blind picking the Rell, you kind of know what you're going to be expecting to play it into, unless Shopify wanted to get really clever. So we have the bot lane here, of course, for Shopify and the expected jungle pick. And over on the other side, we'll see if they're going to try to attack what AD carries are available for Zven.
That's what I'd imagine they do, because I think what Shopify should do in top lane is kind of let Thanatos have his meta champions, pick some of his meta champions away, and starve his champion pool early, which is the opposite of what Bvoy did last week. So we're going to get that targeting here in this second phase of bans, because if they're trying to go after him right away, they ban top laners, but it's expected here that they're banning AD carries, since that's the difference within this draft.
And it is the most played for Zven by far. 6 plays on the Ezreal. I wouldn't be surprised to just see kind of double ban down towards that bot lane. You talked about the importance you felt in Senna winning that 2v2. Obviously, kind of pushing Zven down as far as that priority does go will help with that.
Yeah, one interesting thing to me is to see if they keep Kalista open, if only because these two teams have not prioritized Kalista nearly as much as other teams in the LCS, and that's kind of a powerful lane to have to go up against. So I'm curious to see if that will end up getting banned out here, or if they'll just leave it open.
Yeah, I'm also really curious to see if Rumble Yone is up too, because if they can pair those two champions together, even though they'll be a little AD heavy in mid jungle, that just seems like a devastating combo if Shopify gets that. Azir's already banned. I'd want the other ban to be a Rumble or a Yone, but we'll see.
Quirky coming through.
Yeah, it is going to be really interesting. They're just banning the 2 most played there for Zven. You know, I do think the one wrinkle, while Yone is really, really strong, you'd have to be picking the Yone into both the Taliyah and the Poppy, right? So
great.
It does make it really, really difficult to be able to find that playmaking. So it feels to me like Cloud9 are kind of daring Palafox to pick this. You know, they feel that they have the answers already drafted, and they're saying, we don't think you can make it work, but go ahead and try.
I also think with the Rumble ban, they're making it even less advantageous for the team composition, because they wouldn't have that AP nuke to come in over the top. More standard choices. See
the Ori hover looking like it's going to go through, and that's, you know, a much, much safer choice. For Palafox.
We haven't seen that much Orianna, and you can see it's had very little success here in the LTA. 2-10 we just see for its record so far in Split 2. Definitely fallen out of meta just a little bit. I don't expect him to have lane prio with the Ori, but it will be a good scaling pick.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that previously from his Ori game, right? That was one of the ones where he was down like several thousand gold, I think, before it really started showing up in teamfights later on. As we see the Renekton hover.
Yeah, make him blind picks, one of his comfort picks.
Yeah, it does feel like one of the, I would say it's probably the most comfortable blind pick for Thanatos. It feels like, you know, when everything's up and available, he loves going towards that Renekton. And it is going to be Ziggs bot here for Zven. So very interesting. You know, they do target some of these bot laners. They take away some of the AD carries, but he goes towards a mage bot. He's just going to be looking to try to push in this Senna, try to lock her under her lane, and not really give her much of an opportunity to get going.
Yeah, try and outrange her, try and make sure she doesn't get that many souls. And really interesting here with the Cho'Gath. I would have expected the Gnar to deny it from Thanatos, and that's been a classic counterpick. But he's going the other route with a less played champion here, really just trying to win this game in particular. With the, I wouldn't even consider Cho'Gath a classic counterpick to the Renekton.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's a counter whatsoever, but I will say I do think Emax Cho'Gath is actually quite strong these days.
Yeah.
It did get buffed a couple patches ago. He's going to play full tank. And I think the thought process is the damage profile is relatively low here. There's not an AD carry. You know, you build a bit of armor. You start stacking some MR here against the Taliyah and the Ziggs. And they're feeling like if he doesn't get way behind early, it's not a lane counter. It's a compositional counter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can see that, especially with Orianna shields and Senna heals and everything coming through. If Fudge is having a good game, the Cho'Gath is going to be a problem, you know, come 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a composition counter. It's going to put Shopify in the back seat early on in this game, not necessarily having prio in their lanes, but having very good scaling.
Yeah, and that'll be super interesting because I do think Shopify are a team that, again, like, have played slow, have kind of relied on some of these scaling picks, but also when going up against the chart-taking power of Ziggs previously, had the LeBlanc on their side, right?
It's going to be a good one. Cloud9 and Shopify Rebellion kicking off finals weekend here. Only one team can face a FlyQuest tomorrow. Play for that title, play for the only MSI slot available here. Both these teams trying to do it. It's been a while since either of them have won, and trying to get back to their winning ways here, trying to go for a title.
Yeah, Shopify, as the org, has never won, but
of course.
They have a little bit of that energy.
They have that lineage.
CLG energy from primarily from Contractz and Palafox.
Yeah, Contractz, Palafox. The last time Cloud9 won, it was with Fudge. They had that unceremonious exit with him in the top lane. They moved to Thanatos, and now they meet here in the finals weekend. And also, what a difference a month makes. Like, Shopify, a month ago, you would say has absolutely no chance against C9. But right now, it actually feels like they have a really interesting composition and a lot of momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think about. You know, the average preseason power ranking, I have them even lower. I think I have them like 7th or something like that. You know, and now they are guaranteed top 3. You know, I was looking back at Palafox's career. Obviously, he has that title with NRG. But besides that, he had rarely, if ever been above that top 4 mark. And now he's already past that. And you can see these are the lowest regular season win rates to ever make top 3.
Yeah, and this is the more shocking thing, right? Because the reason why so many people doubted, there's the lineage of NRG as well, coming in at 50%. The reason why so many people, myself included, doubted Shopify was their win rate was so rough, right? Like, they did not look like a team that could make this kind of run, despite a lot of their players having that pedigree.
And I think the crazy thing is when you extend it even into the upper bracket, they were 6-15 in their first 21 games. Now they're 6-1 in their last 7 in the lower bracket. So, like, that kind of turnaround is crazy. Yes, you know, Shopify did have a lot of close games, but it was always the discussion of like, they almost won, but they always throw it. Now they really seem to have solved that and been able to become a lot more consistent over these last couple weeks.
And also, since we're in game 1 and we have no idea how the series is going to go yet, you could make the argument that even though C9 has a very good regular season record, they had a lot of games where they should have lost, whereas you'd say Shopify should have won. There were moments where C9 was at their Nexus turrets. There was a game against Lion where they went in and died, and now Fudge hits level 3 first on Thanatos, and Contractz is here.
Yeah, he was spotted, though, by that ward over on Raptors, and they saw him walking back up towards that top side. So now he's going to go for an invade because he went for a 3-camp gank. Blaber going to be over on his Gromp, and Contractz won't spot him. So, you know, they had full vision, you know, full kind of understanding of where he would be based on that one ward. Thanatos plays it safe, and now Blaber is trying to get him to actually start up this blue buff, and now looking for a play of his own. Is going to be able to get him stunned against the wall. Takes a good 20-30% of his HP there, but Palafox has pushed and is moving.
And Thanatos can't move. He's got to catch that wave, so Blaber's going to get pushed off this blue buff unless he wants to suicide for it.
Yeah, he might try to look for a smite fight, but is just going to seed that blue buff, will take his Gromp here. So Contractz does look for the 3-camp gank, and now he's looking just for that scuttle top, and then he could cross for a double scuttle potentially here because he has the push on bot side. So this actually turns out really well for Contractz, even though he goes for what is considered very risky with this 3-camp gank. It's turned out really well because of pushing lanes.
Double scuttling Blaber, man. What does this mean?
Means he doesn't get both scuttles early. No, I love these little things from Contractz, and I think they have been ended up being really big difference makers a lot of the time in Shopify's early games, right? Like just recognizing small windows off of his lane state, what he can do, what he can't, as we see him taking down that second Scuttle Crab, double Scuttle against Blaber.
It's really funny that this is more of an ego thing than any type of actual advantage, because Blaber did a Raptor start, so his Raptor's Krugs comes up really fast, so even though he got denied his blue and the Scuttles, like he's still farming at exactly the same rate as the Pantheon, but yeah, you got the double Scuttles on Blaber.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's like, Contractz took a pretty risky approach with going for a 3-camp gank. So the fact that he went for 3 camps into a gank top, it didn't work, and he hasn't fallen behind is still obviously pretty nice. But that is kind of the side of the matchup that you're going to be on. When you're playing the Pantheon into the Poppy, you're generally the one who wants to be proactive, and the Poppy is trying to answer those plays, track where you are on the map, and really looking more for the denial. There's a little bit of trade of damage down on the bottom side, but it's more about the mana here for Zven. He does, of course, have the teleport, though, so likely to just head back to base and then TP right back. Well, Bvoy on the Senna, you are going to struggle for wave clear early on. That's why they always rush Shiv.
Blaber making his way up to the top lane right now, I think is a pretty important approach, because the Cho'Gath has been looking really well, but now he's got the wave needing to be shoved in and has to respect the fact that Blaber could be there. Actually does. I mean, if this Cho'Gath pick doesn't get punished around level 6 on the Renekton, and the fact that it's done so well this early, I think is massive for Fudge, because we've already talked about how with what will become a full tank Cho'Gath, and there being no traditional AD carry and relatively low sustained damage, it's going to be a force later on in this game.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be really, really difficult, especially, again, with the Senna coming on top of that as well. Going to be really dangerous later on for 5v5s.
Blaber hovering here. Yeah, I mean, his camps aren't up, so he's not really wasting any time right now. He's just waiting for that Gromp respawn. Seeing, was there anything I could do top? Nope. All right, I guess I'll check mid. Now the Gromp is going to respawn, so he'll just run over there and continue the clear here. But you can see that farm advantage now is starting to show itself for Contractz, because while he was even in farm earlier, he, of course, took camps away from his opponent. Took away the blue buff, took the double Scuttle, so now was able to full clear and get a nice little advantage here for himself. Zven, though, is really in a good spot. He's going to deny some of this wave. Already grabs a plate for himself because Senna is really struggling with the wave clear. He just spammed his mana and then came right back. We'll see if Thanatos wants to try to push this, but with the wave in a frozen state, it's kind of really awkward here for Fudge. Contractz is down on bot side. He's going to start up this dragon, but Fudge is basically relegated just Q farming from max range.
Which is kind of okay if you look at the current CS numbers. It's not the best situation, but if they get the Drake out of it, he's going to be A-okay on that one.
Yeah, we see Vulcan spotting it out, but this was kind of also set up by Seoul coming down, right? Like after Zven had pushed up in bot lane, it looks like with Bvoy and Seoul there, they'll be able to easily take that down.
And you can see Fudge playing super respectful. He knows, all right, Poppy didn't show on bot side, so he walked all the way down the river and actually warded over by where the Scuttle was to see that Blaber had taken the Scuttle, and then he's just backing off. He's accepting, yes, I'm going to be missing some of this CS. I'm going to be going down a little bit.
For sure.
But he's just getting experience and realizing, you know what, that's not my job right now.
And I will say, when you are, as we see a Shockwave and an aggressive trade onto Loki, when you are the team with the scaling advantage, it feels really good to get those early Drakes.
Yeah.
Because it just buys you so much more time before the other team would have a Dragon Soul win condition. Because I'm looking at this C9 composition, and they kind of have to make things happen pretty early.
There's a blessing and a curse. Ludwig here, they're doing really well when Ludwig is streaming. But Charlie better not be streaming or things are not going to be looking so good as the Shopify co-owners there. And their respective records.
They found some good pictures for this one. As we see, Fudge still
in
the top side. They're going to spot Seoul out on that ward.
Yeah, Seos is going to be spotted. He knows it because the minions will aggro him in the brush. But either way, Fudge had already broken the freeze, so he's going to be pretty happy. Again, just constantly pushing this in. He does go down, a good 2 waves, basically, once this is all farmed up. But he is chilling. He's level 8 now, so he can move over. And if he could actually feast away one of these grubs, it would be really nice, because those, of course, do not count to the 6 guaranteed stacks you will get. But it looks like Cloud9 is not going to be able to be contested because Senna did not roam. Zven has had non-stop push on the bot side, and that really has been the biggest advantage for them in these early levels. It's just this pressure that their bot lane 2v2 has had.
Yeah, and now with the 3 grubs, they're going to try and start taking plates to get some of this gold lead accelerating. can be pretty important with the Ziggs comp to have the grubs, and they're actually not doing an early swap. They're looking to pressure this turret right now.
This is 4 members here, and they're going to try to eject one, but the flash forward from Contractz interrupts the ulti. There's the flash forward from Thanatos. They're going to try to burst down Contractz. Contractz incredibly low, and he's knocked down for first blood. On the other side, though, it's Seoul and Fudge trying to push this damage back. Knockup does land from Fudge, and now Palafox is here, but Loki's here as well. It's 5 top from Cloud9. Fudge and Seoul have got to try to interrupt this wave from getting there. Palafox has got to kite out, uses a shockwave onto Loki, gets him low, but on the other side, it's still Thanatos, Zven, and Blaber holding the wave. Fudge flashes in and feasts on Loki, bites him in half. Blaber's going to fall as well. Shopify outplay. 5 members top for Cloud9 is not nearly enough.
Fudge factor once again with the Cho'Gath. That was amazing from him, recognizing that he could immediately...
they want more!
Yeah, in comes the ult from Contractz. He is back, and Zven is going to fall as well. It is 4-1 for Shopify. Meanwhile, Bvoy was just farming bot side the whole time.
This sequence by Shopify could not have been much better. The original interrupt makes the dive not clean, and it buys enough time for the play to develop. So they do kill him early, but then Fudge gets enough CC off, and they clear the wave enough to really get the back end of this play in their favor.
Yeah, as we see coming up, Palafox and Loki kind of scrapping on the backside of this, but then watch Fudge right here immediately goes in. Loki is absolutely gone. They clean up Vulcan as well, and then Blaber is the next to fall. Feats of warfare, great. Revan reaction cam, amazing.
Nice. Guys, if they stay here, okay, I can look okay with Arm.
Yeah. The second ever Cho'Gath triple kill in North American history as well, and that is now the 3-kill Cho'Gath. He's opting for a little bit of AP, so now that he has the 3 kills, he's going to be looking to win that side lane against the Renekton.
And we talked about how bad it would be for C9 if this Cho'Gath gets online early, right? Well, now they're going to have to deal with Fudge out on the map, and this Thanatos Renekton is also going to be a little bit stymied going forward in team fights.
Yeah, still has the Black Cleaver, so he's going to be on still a pretty strong item spike with this next Drake coming up in 45 minutes. And interestingly enough, the last time C9 won, they had Fudge. What's happened since they've lost Fudge? Is there a bit of a curse going on with this Battlecast Cho'Gath trying to stop C9 from making finals?
That's the Fudge factor right there, man. He is back. He picked up the triple kill, and like you said, he's going to be going towards the Riftmaker. This is pretty common for Cho'Gath, but often it is much later on into the game. You're going to be picking it up as a second or a third item or something like that. It does give you some pretty good sustained power in that side lane, and Fudge got that early feast. Of course, it is a kill on a champion, so that is not going to be adding in to those guaranteed stacks you're always going to be able to get. And it is really nice to get some of those stacks early on.
I mean, C9 also has decent item spikes right now. Ludens to just the pickaxe on the Senna if you look at the Ziggs versus the Senna. So with this next Drake coming up, this might be C9's way to fight their way back in the game.
Blaber is going to be spotted, but there's Shopify. They're going to go for the engage. Senna will come through. Blaber's in a lot of trouble. Teleport now coming in here from Loki. Loki with reinforcements. Thanatos trying to turn around on Seoul, and Seoul is going to get stunned against the wall and knocked down. And Contractz now has nowhere to go. Going to get flicked back in by Loki. Tries to take Vulcan, but can't do it. And now Fudge is going to have to run as well. Shopify, again, just so many members from Cloud9 overloading one side of the map. They're going to be able to give the shutdown as well to Loki. That is big, but there are 2 lanes being pushed in by Shopify, so they're trading back some plates and some minion gold as well.
Contractz tried to cheat one there. He thought if they got the jump on Blaber, maybe they'd be able to win the game, but they've actually just given the window back for C9. That's a situation where they're getting so many plays topside. If he doesn't go for that fast play, they just concede and they keep their large goldie, but they gave away their bounties and the Drakes equalized anyways.
Yeah, that lets C9 back in the game so easily. It was a fight that they kind of did not want, right? Like they initially wanted it, but then as Azael already pointed out, C9 had overloaded on that side, were able to polish them off, and now that does stop the early Drake stacking that Shopify had potentially started.
And you can see, I mean, Fudge lost a lot of farm on that dive on top side. Now he dies, loses more farm. You know, even though he got this triple kill, he's actually behind in gold to Thanatos right now, and he's going to be down a little bit of experience as well. So, you know, not in the best spot. Of course, you know, maybe the winner here is going to be Bvoy, who has just been chilling, farming, does have a pretty good amount of stacks on the Senna.
Yeah, or even Palafox. So he got those plates top lane. Loki got a big bounty off of Fudge, but it's still a 650 gold lead here. Orianna versus Taliyah, and the Orianna Cho'Gath Senna scaling is still intact. So while that is C9's window back into the game, Shopify should just take a deep breath and understand how they actually win this game.
Yeah, they don't necessarily have to take a lot of these fights, even with finding those earlier advantages, right? It was off of reacting to a C9 dive as they're looking for something on bot side.
Avoids a dive to go for one.
Yeah, going to be probably just playing for the tower. Thanatos does back off. They do have Demolish here for Fudge, so they're just going to be focusing down this tower. Should be able to finish it off pretty easily here, and that will be first turret of the game going to Shopify. So that is the feats of strength secured. They get the upgraded boots, and that is with the other team having Ziggs and Grubs. So actually pretty surprising.
Yeah, and we did see that Shopify actually were able to pull TL on the map when they were going up against the Ziggs in their previous game.
Flashing. Loki tried to flash out, but he still gets caught, and now he's going to be stunned up by Contractz. Knocked down by Bvoy. Shopify flip the script. They're the ones overloading a lane now.
And this decisiveness by Shopify has shown up a couple of times here in the top play and in that play right there. Being willing to just flash and snap engage on a play is a type of cohesion that they didn't have earlier on in the split. They take that kill mid, and they're staying on the map, going for this Rift Herald.
Yeah, we see Vulcan in position, Blaber here as well. They do have the feast ready from Fudge. He would love to be able to grab another stack. And it looks like Blaber's just going to be giving it up. Vulcan's going to back off, so they want to give this over here to Fudge. They are able to do it, but he doesn't have a single minion feast stack yet, so he's got to start cycling through that because we're 15 minutes into the game. He's only sitting on those 2 stacks.
Well, in the meantime, Thanatos does clean up that bot side turret, right? So he is going to be a bit of a problem in a lot of these side lanes that Shopify are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's such an interesting game for Fudge because you love to be able to get the objective and the champion feasts, but you do also need to just get tanky. It's been such a high-action game for him, right? There's been so many, the overload 5-man top, the overload 5-man bottom, the play they just did mid. He hasn't had that time where he feels safe to expend the feast because a fight's not coming, because the tempo of this game is actually just so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can be difficult. You know, anytime you think there might be one of these all-in plays, you want to make sure your feast is ready for that potential fight. But of course, you got to start stacking it up at some point. Zven going to be shoving in mid lane here. Looks like he's going to be going towards Horizon Focus second after already having that Ludens. Item definitely becoming a lot more popular after the buffs. Is Blaber going to look for an angle here? Doesn't quite find the stun there. Aegis Assault going to be popped by Contractz as a nice rupture from Fudge just peels off Vulcan. And Vulcan lets the Magnet Storm go to little effect.
Yeah, and C9 thought they might be able to push up there as Zven was kind of looking to get some chip damage onto this mid lane turret. I do like C9 trying to look for these windows again to take down turrets with their...
Oh, the hook actually connects onto Zven, and Zven is just gone. Seos finds another one.
Wow.
Seos is just hitting these hooks, man. Every time I feel like I'm trying to set up some sort of macro play, he just hits another hook and another C9 member is dying. They'll be able to get this mid-tier 1 with the Herald off of that as well, and potentially be able to lay down some forward vision for this Drake.
Can't even say how big that hook was, because this is the moment of the game where C9 had already taken both outer turrets. They were consistently pushing in side lanes, and it was just like one of those scripts where you move Ziggs mid to get another turret. They punish him right now, and now maybe they get Thanatos.
Here comes Contractz with the ulti. Seo's going to look. The flash just barely gets him out of range as Bvoy driving the Herald back over here. Was going to go down mid lane, so he just kind of wastes their time a little bit with it. And Blaber will be able to collect it. Dragon spawning here in just a couple seconds. Thanatos will be without his flash for the fight.
All right, item check for the fight as well, though. We got alts all around. We have core items for basically everyone.
C9 are just going to go. They're looking for Contractz. He doesn't get the stun against the wall, though, and now Seo's going to be fighting here with Vulcan. Gets flicked back. Thanatos and Blaber on the right side. C9 need to rejoin the rest of their team. Zven, though, looking for poke over the wall. Can't quite find it. You can see Fudge just trying to play bodyguard on the side. Well, Blaber is hunting for a steal. The wall comes down. Contractz on the wrong side of his Senna. Ult gonna buy some time. Shockwave does connect there onto Loki. Loki incredibly low, and Loki gonna be knocked down, but Contractz trying to survive on the side. Has to run. Gets knocked down. Thanatos going crazy. The feast is used by Fudge, and they lost their jungler, so it's gonna be C9's Dragon, very likely. But Blaber actually has no smite. He used his smite in the fight, so if Fudge can get back in, it's gonna be engaged over the wall, though, from Vulcan, and Fudge is gonna get locked down and knocked down. Shopify will have to retreat. Palafox and Bvoy not able to finish the job.
Oh, such a great fight right there. C9 narrowly comes out on top. It looked a little dicey at first once Fudge flashed in for the execute. His third non-minion feast stack. We're going to see this hook one more time from a couple minutes ago where they're just able to one-shot Zven, but that's not the most important thing that has happened. It's this fight right here where it starts actually better for Shopify because Contractz' Pantheon E as well as Bvoy's ultimate stall, but then C9 and Thanatos turn this around on the back end.
Yeah, basically, Loki gets blown up really early. Again, Contractz actually has to go out, and then just look at how strong Thanatos is. And even when Fudge is going to try to wrap around here, right, he's going to get spotted. They're going to be able to jump on him, immediately take him out, and then the Drake is now C9's, and the Drake stacking is now in their favor.
Yeah, an overreach by Shopify on the back end of that fight. I think didn't want to give it up, even though it was a 3v4. Let's do a quick check-in on Bvoy's stacks. 20 minutes now, just at 56. So the Ziggs has been quite effective at shutting him down. And keep in mind, this is since 2023, when the soul rate used to be lower from the Senna, so he has been kept pretty far down. And it speaks to how strong Thanatos is at this juncture of the game. The Senna's not strong enough yet to cut through him. Palafox is a pure burst build, and we have another fight.
They're going to engage. Seoul does find the hook there onto Vulcan. You can see on the side, Thanatos is trying to threaten the flank, and Contractz has to run now. Vulcan still looking. The ulti will come through. Contractz and Seoul's very low. No one will die, but it is going to be Shopify heading back to base. Thanatos had such good positioning that Palafox and Bvoy could not commit, or they would have gotten eviscerated by the Renekton there. Oh, Contractz now going to get stopped. The seismic shove does not connect, but he's going to have to flash over the wall. And this could be a potential Otacon start with that base getting stopped this late.
Yeah, they don't kill it that fast. It's one thing that's going to prevent them from starting it. Also because Fudge would have Feast up and is in the area, but the general map pressure still holds true. Like, aside from that pick that Seo's found onto Zven, C9 has been able to keep these side lanes pushed, which is putting Shopify on the back foot.
Yeah, it's so dangerous whenever you get this, whenever C9 will be able to get this Ziggs in front of turrets. And I think another thing is the past two big hooks that Seos has hit, right? They've been onto Vulcan, which isn't necessarily the high priority target. You want to be able to get in there and blow up before a team fight.
Absolutely. Palafox, though, out to the largest individual lead of the game, up 1.1K. And we have had Palafox do two very different styles of showing. When he is good, he is incredible. You know, he has dominated games. And when he is struggling, you know, the team is struggling as well. But thus far, off to a great start. Has an early 2 items. Is going for full-on burst here with the Luden Storm Surge. Has the upgraded boots as well. And he's in a position where if you hit that shockwave onto one of these AP carries, they could be just gone.
Yeah, I mean, watching all of Palafox's games this split, this is like a top 20 percentile game already. Like, the fact that he's 45 CS up, oh, actually, no, count this, almost 50 CS up now is very
Vulcan going to be in some trouble, does get ruptured up, silenced, and he's going to be hooked in. The CC just does not end. Fudge gets another feast stack. Loki has arrived and does hit a multi-man flick there, but he's going to be in trouble now. They're just going to turn around on Loki. They can't take this fight. The shockwave will not connect onto Zven, but Shopify get 2, and they are the ones who are heading to Otacon.
Yeah, they're pinging on the Otacon. We'll see if they want to take that or if C9 are going to kind of try to stop them. C9 should be able to take down potentially this mid-tier 1 in response, but Palafox is defending it pretty well.
Yeah.
And again, like, really...
Zven is TPing. They see him. They're just going to turn for this as he arrives. Has to flash over the wall, but Blaber is here now. Seos is sectioned off from the rest of the team. And Otacon is taking a long time to kill. Loki's going to be up in 10 with teleport. That has bought enough time. It might be a thanks for the leash angle here as C9 now get a kill on Seos. Loki is respawning. He can teleport to join if they want to keep this leash, and they're going to do just that for now as Zven is trying to control this tri-brush.
The Death Magnet is active, it feels like. I believe Shopify is just going to concede this with the feast up, but not wanting to overreach yet again. C9 wins this day.
Yeah, C9 going to be able to grab Otacon. Good kill there onto Seos. It looked like it was going to be a bad TP from Zven, but after he flashes over the wall, Seos is kind of caught away from the rest of the team. And Shopify end up losing their support, losing Otacon. Yes, Shopify is up 1k gold, but the extra dragon is in C9's side, and all of the extra plants here from Otacon as well. So combat stats-wise, they're ahead.
Yeah, but I gotta say, the next Drake's up, and there's one big guy we gotta watch. The Renekton. 3-0-4, 500 gold lead. He wants to use this lead right away.
Oh, and he's looking right in for Contractz. This is going to be a great combo coming through from Vulcan as the team is getting locked down. And now the double seismic shove. Bvoy in the back line, though, looking for Loki. Fudge has arrived. Palafox has got to run, but he's going to get stunned up and cut in half as Thanatos calls the meek. Fudge and Bvoy can do nothing. It's 3-0. It's the Dragon right after the Otacon. The hits just keep on coming.
And that's where we see the power of the C9 composition, being able to layer their CC. That was a beautiful flick on the back half of it from Loki, who I think Shopify thus far had done a pretty good job of removing him from the fights early, especially in a lot of the prior Drake fights that Shopify had been able to contest. So as we see this again, just watch the combination between Thanatos going in and then Vulcan immediately in, following up, and Loki with this flick on to Seos and Contractz.
Yeah. Really nice execution by C9, but to me, it's just the decision. It was 5v3. It was a numbers game. They saw Palafox on bot wave, they saw Fudge's Cho'Gath on top wave, and they just went right away. I think Shopify was a little sleepy on that play because Dragon wasn't up for 10 or 15 seconds, and they were thinking, okay, we're going to think about how to retake it once the Drake spawns. And they do not have an answer for Thanatos' Crocodile right now.
Yeah, that is looking pretty good. 4,452 damage to 180 on the other side. So
Fudge wasn't there.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. You know, if you're not in the right place at the right time, C9 has the ability to have that trigger pull. They have a lot of good engage here, a lot of ways to start fights and pick people off, and they have been really good at using it so far this game.
This does speak back to how important that first Drake was, though, for Shopify. This would already be an Ocean Soul for C9 if they didn't get that first one. But they have a ton of pressure, and they're going to be trying to leverage a Baron if they can get a pick.
Thanatos here.
Blaber.
They're going to be looking for Bvoy. Bvoy flashes. He's not going to be sent against the wall, but he's going to be knocked up, and the Ziggs all comes through. Barely does not finish him off as Senna ult over the top. Can't quite kill Blaber. Fudge looking with the Rupture. Does hit Zven, but no one in position to follow up as Palafox and Bvoy were already pushed back here. That was dicey stuff. Bvoy does survive, but it cost him his flash.
It cost him his flash, and they're both he and Palafox kind of have to back off, right? Like, so C9 should be able to completely reset these maps, get these side waves in pressure, Thanatos clearing out vision around the Baron, and they should end up being able to make it pretty difficult for Shopify to then go in and set up for these objectives.
Absolutely, and I mean, I'm just looking at these summoner spell cooldowns. You're looking over at Thanatos, at Blaber, at Vulcan. All of them are going to have their flash well before Bvoy does.
Yeah.
And that is going to mean Bvoy no flash at a potential soul fight where he is going to be the clear target.
And I'm just waiting for Thanatos to get level 16 in Hysterics before the next fight. Like, if he was a problem 3 minutes ago, he's going to be an even bigger problem 3 minutes from now as C9 continue to take ground, stealing the blue buff and pushing Contractz off his wolves.
Yep, and as we say, wow, Contractz taking a lot of damage there.
Go down.
Yeah, Contractz having to run here. The Ziggs ulti is going to be enough. Loki is able to finish the job here as Blaber and Loki on the side now looking for Seos. And they got the kill. It is just going to be a kill because there is no objective up for them to grab. But still, that's now another missing summoner spell here. And none were used to get that kill from C9.
Yep, as we see C9 pushing down on this bot tier 2. Again, they have the Ziggs, so it should easily be theirs.
Yeah, Blaber going to be in some trouble here. He's going to get rooted up. They get him hooked in. He's going to be shut down. As it's another feast stack for Fudge. Make that 9 now. Yeah. And a ton of those are on champions.
4 minions, 1 epic, 4 champions. So he still has 2 freebies left, although he doesn't really have time to use them on minions with how active this game has been.
Yeah, it has been pretty crazy. Bvoy picking up nearly his 80th soul there, so is scaling pretty well. But this game really feels like it hinges on this next dragon. If Shopify can delay the game by getting this next dragon, maybe they can find an opportunity. So much riding on this first game.
Yeah, they basically have to get a pick going into it, I think, right? Like a hook on a priority target, maybe potentially playing with Fog, because otherwise C9 should be able to set up for this really well, especially, again, how strong Thanatos is and how difficult he is to deal with.
It's hard because you'd want to front to back with the Cho'Gath, but then the Ziggs poke is reaching them so effectively. It's really taken Bvoy out of this game. The Senna pick really hasn't been paying out. I'd say the Cho'Gath, Pantheon, Orianna have all looked pretty good, but the Senna just can't get involved with the Ziggs and has no answer for the Renekton, who now has the Sterix.
It doesn't have IE yet completed, unfortunately, for this pivotal fight here. You can see over on the other side, Zven is working towards his 4th item here, while the 3rd item, IE, is not yet done for Bvoy. Shopify, though, do have the first move in towards that dragon side. They got the vision established, and they're going to be looking for Zven, who does walk forward. The hook not going to connect. The rupture over the wall forces the flash, though, from Zven. Good early cooldown force there by Shopify, but now it's a deep TP here from Thanatos. He is very far behind them,
and
they have no idea. No one is reacting to this whatsoever, and here's the bad news. Thanatos is behind you. You got no flash. You got no chance. Bvoy is gone. Palafox sure to follow. It's C9 crushing the fight off of a beautiful TP from Thanatos.
Bvoy absolutely explodes there, and they're going to be able to clean up Seoul as well. Contractz is going to go down. The Drake is C9. What a beautiful flank coming out of Thanatos' Renekton.
He is having a great performance right now. Definitely going to wonder if you got to get him off his champions, man. He's just too good. But like this whole setup is more of a team play from C9. So they avoid the original play from Fudge. They have that very deep ward. He's completely unspotted. And as soon as he's on vision, they go for the execute. Blaber gets the start. The center of the Ziggs ult as well. That just ends the fight right there.
Yep. Palafox is taken out. And as you see in our little picture-in-pictures, we see C9 cleaning up that Drake fight. They're also currently in play cleaning up on the Baron.
Yeah, does Fudge have flash? He does, but he has no way to get over there. C9 just going to zone him off here. Thanatos marks Fudge. C9 claim the Baron here, getting further and further ahead. 6K up now. C9 working so well as a squad. I mean, Thanatos just says, boys, I'll meet you there. TV's in deep. And you know where else you can meet your boys is Regal Cinemas for a watch party tomorrow. There are still some tickets available if you want to watch the finals live with some of your friends at Regal Cinemas. There's going to be giveaways and skins and things like that you can grab there. Scan the QR code to be able to grab some of those tickets.
Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Thanatos? Is it going to be Fudge? I'd say it's so weird. Fudge had such a good Cho'Gath game, and normally you'd think if a tank gets fed against the Renekton, that the Renekton's going to have a hard time getting involved in the game. But it's been completely opposite. Like, Thanatos has completely just dodged Fudge. Anytime Fudge goes to a side lane, C9's been able to snap engage on these really important fights and just take the game back into their favor.
Yeah, and I think another big crucial pick here is that Ziggs bot, right? Like the poke coming out of this Ziggs, the Senna has had a really difficult time in this game, as we see Bvoy just losing a massive chunk of health right there. He's only at 88.
And they've really struggled to get kind of organized team fights on the Shopify side, right? You know, it is not that they're having to kill off Fudge and then get to the back line. He's not tanky enough. It's that Palafox and Bvoy are dead very quickly in all the fights that they are losing. You know, C9 has had great engages, and now they're looking here for Fudge. Blaber threatening the wraparound. Fudge is going to get flicked back. The tower going down in a hurry, but in comes Contractz trying to turn around here. Can't find anyone to stun down. And now the tower is just in satchel range, so it's going to get executed by Zven. C9 continues the march forward here. 7.5K in the lead. They do fight Thanatos. Thanatos going to get locked down. He's going to get Shockwave, but they can't finish him off until just now as Fudge flashes in and feasts on him. But Fudge now in so much trouble. Look at the positioning from Zven and Loki. They just can't get to him. Fudge, though, being shielded up, being protected as much as possible by his team. Blaber finally has the damage to get a kill on the top laner. It is just a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. But the Ocean Soul doing so much work here for Cloud9.
They had to spend so much to get through Thanatos' Sterix, and it means that they can just stay on the map right now. C9 breaks top inhib. They're working on mid, even though that was almost worst case scenario. Their strongest member dies, caught away from the rest of the team, but Shopify had to burn everything, and I'd say C9 still wins the overall fight.
And they have no offensive heal cut whatsoever. They don't even have an ignite. They just have a thorn mail, but no one's going to be auto-attacking Fudge to apply that to themselves, so it's really tough. You know, you see that Palafox is working towards death cap, so he doesn't want to pit stop for an Oblivion Orb. Bvoy was trying desperately to get his IE, so he's not doing it as well. But it does put them in a situation where now you have pretty tanky frontline between Vulcan, Blaber, and Thanatos. no heal cut against Ocean Soul, it is going to be really hard to win extended fights.
Looks like Bvoy will probably turn that Last Whisper into a Mortal Reminder eventually, but he's just so far away from being able to do that. Just completed Last Whisper, only sitting on 180 gold.
And meanwhile, I mean, look at Zven.
Meanwhile,
right?
Zven almost max item Ziggs.
Yeah.
Credit to Zven as well for pulling out the Ziggs in this
Vulcan
situation.
pretty far forward, is going to get hooked in after the stun. There's the Senna route coming through, but Blaber arrives, and Blaber gets a nice knock-up on multiple members. Contractz takes the Ziggs ulti to the face, but Palafox on the side almost kills us. Zven can't quite do it, and now Bvoy is going to be pinned against the wall, and Loki signs his death warrant. They're looking for Palafox. The seismic shove will force Palafox's flash. He gets out alive, but the base is taking the punishment.
Nicely done there by C9. Zven almost gets one shot by Palafox. Not quite enough damage. And then with the Ocean Soul, everybody back to full health.
Yeah. And I mean, the big thing is there's no way that Shopify can stop C9 from jumping on Bvoy. Like,
yeah.
they just
They're just going to go. Vulcan looking to finish this one off. Blaber's in the back line. Palafox is dead. The carries are gone. They do try to get one back here, though, as Vulcan falls. Fudge, though, retreating to the base here. They have no wave clear. They've got to buy time for Bvoy, but the first Nexus Tower is already gone, and Cloud9 is looking like they're seconds away from claiming this game. Fudge is the target. Fudge is down. Contractz on the side, fighting as best as he can, but it's not going to be enough. Cloud9 take the kills, they take the game, and they take the lead in the lower bracket finals.